just sitting here during the break, and I have to tell you, I actually have butterflies in my stomach, and not because I'm nervous about anything, but because I know what I'm telling you today is true, and that is, you've won. The formula here, if you will, is just be you. Be your highest self. Every Tea Party should learn from what happened this last weekend. They don't know what to do with kindness. They have no idea. No idea. Lock arms, sing a hymn. It's amazing. I learned a long, long time ago the importance of judging a man by his friends. I am so proud of the 500,000 friends that came out on Saturday to restore honor. And the real story that is coming out of this weekend is not me or Sarah Palin or anybody else. And it's not the crowd size. It's the crowd and their behavior. You have raised the bar. I hope I can live up to your standards. I want to share an article. This is the best thing. This is the best. This is from today's Wall Street Journal. Okay? This is the op-ed page. It's a story about Saturday's crowd. It's called Glenn Beck's Happy Warriors, and it's written by James Freeman. And here it is. Pundits will debate the crowd at Glenn Beck's Saturday rally in Washington as the largest in recent political history. But it certainly was among the most impressive. Mr. Beck, a television host and radio broadcaster with a checkered past and a... Have I said something wrong? And a penchant for incendiary remarks. But if he is judged by the quality of people of all colors that he attracted to the Lincoln Memorial, his stock can't help but rise. One would not be able to find a more polite crowd at a political convention. Certainly not a professional sporting event. Probably not even an opera. In fact, judging by the behavior of the attendees following the event, you'd have a tough time finding churches in which people display more patience as others make their way to the exits. This army of well-mannered folks that marched into Washington seemed comprised mainly of people who had once marched in the U.S. Army or other military branches, or at least had a family member who had. Perhaps that's not surprising, given the event was a fundraiser for Special Operations Warrior Foundation, which, by the way, you can still make a donation to, glennbeck.com/828, which provides scholarships to the children of elite troops killed in the performance of their duty. The day was largely devoted to expressions of gratitude for the sacrifices of U.S. soldiers, for great men and women of American history like Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and for God. But it didn't end there. Dave Reaver, a Vietnam veteran, offered a closing prayer in which he thanked the Lord for the president and for Congress. Despite the unpopularity of the latter two, no booing or catcalls could be heard. Perhaps feeling defensive about how they would be portrayed in media reports, various attendees wore T-shirts, noting that they were not violent or nonviolent. Other participants, there was no need for explicit messages. Relaxed young parents felt comfortable enough to push strollers with children in them through the crowded areas along the memorial's reflecting pool. Not only was the rally akin to a huge church picnic, one Journal reporter's description, but one had to wonder if the overachievers in this crowd actually left the area in better shape than they found it. After the event, walking from the Lincoln Memorial's reflecting pool through Constitution Gardens, this reporter scanned 360 degrees and could not see a scrap of trash anywhere. Participants and volunteers had collected all of their refuse and left it piled neatly in bags around public garbage cans. Near Constitution Avenue, I did encounter one stray piece of paper, but too old and faded to have been left that day. Given the huge representation of military families at the event, maybe it's not surprising the grounds were left in shipshape. A principal theme of that day was that attendees should restore the country by making improvements in their own lives. Be the change you wish to see in the world, as Gandhi once put it. Most of the participants were strictly amateurs in the business of activism. For many, it was their first appearance at a public demonstration. Their strikingly mild-mannered nature might even inspire Mr. Beck to acknowledge that in a crowd estimated at 300,000 people, the craziest person at the event might have been the one with a microphone. Yeah, Sarah Palin. While he admits that he's part entertainer and prone to over-the-top comments, yes, I am, his followers appear to be sincerely responding to his message that America needs to cling to their best traditions. Mr. Beck's program appears on the Fox News channel, which is owned by News Corp, which also owns the Wall Street Journal. The conservative Mr. Beck's ability to draw this many people to Washington may seem to suggest enormous gains, and here's where I think the article goes off the rails, for the Republicans come the fall. But the GOP shouldn't expect voters to simply hand them a congressional majority without making them earn it. A pregame chatter, off and on season optimism translated into victory. If it did, the New York Jets and the Redskins would meet in the Super Bowl every year. Between Saturday's crowd in Washington and the Tea Parties agitating for limited government, we may be witnessing the rebuilding of the Reagan coalition, the fusion of religious and economic conservatives that political theorist Frank Meyer once endorsed. Reagan always believed that the Republican Party was the natural home for this movement, but GOP leaders in Washington need to prove that they are worthy of it. Let me tell you what it really means. The last two paragraphs I disagree with. This is not about politics. This is about changing yourself, and Washington will change naturally because we won't have them as representatives. But we have to demand it of ourselves first. This is the third great American awakening. There have been two. One started by George Whitefield, and it led to the American Revolution. The second one happened in the 1840s and 50s, and it started with people of faith, of all faiths, and it led to the freeing of the slaves. This one is going to restore our Constitution. It's going to restore individual responsibility. It's going to restore faith, hope, and charity as we learn ourselves. What do we really truly believe in? Do we go to church because, I don't know, we've always gone to church? Or I believe in it because my mom and dad taught me and now I'm 40 and I still believe in it? Why do you go to church? What do you really truly believe in? Hope. Hope comes from truth. What is the truth? Find out in your own self. Question with boldness. Find the truth. And then live the truth. Make sure all your business dealings, all the time, make sure every relationship is based in truth. And charity, give tithe. If you're going to church, give 10%. That's what Moses said God said to give. I know that's a tough one to swallow. But God says, prove me here and now. I did. I couldn't believe that I never thought tithing would make my life better. I never did. I mean, you got to be kidding me, right? It changes everything. And it's the only way this country can do real charity without the government, is if we do it ourselves. Can you imagine how much money we would have if we all gave 10%? By the way, I started giving 10% when I was poor. I know it's hard. But with firm reliance on divine providence, you'll be okay. That's what this movement is about. It's not about the November election. I don't really care about the November election. That's a short-term fix. The third great American awakening is what it's really all about. And you are living history. Back in a second.
Oh, say can you see?
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty